will the virtuous Sangha, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh, thiên chiến diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạc lạc, thất chư vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Namo Saranto Suchedoye Alahadi San Miao San Potosye. Namo Tarakta Toya Daya Alahade Tamyo Tambo Da Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng sheng she wei miao fa bai jie wan jie na zhao yu. 我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。 O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Jing Liang, Venerable Shenhua, Venerable Left-Home people, and all good advisors, Amitabha. 诸佛菩萨、精良大师、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识, A Di Đà Phật. Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Thanh Lương Quốc sư, thầy Tiến Hóa, thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức, A Di Đà Phật. Today is a very auspicious day. You know why? We're starting lecturing on the 15th day of the lunar month. How is that? Speaking of coincidence, I was driving up here last night, yesterday, and I looked at the moon. I was like, wow, it's like a full moon. Anyway, today has been a long day in coming, in that I've been meaning to lecture on the Avatamsaka Sutra for years now. And finally, we have a chance to start lecturing on that, this sutra. It is important sutra. We need to explain. Where is the sutra text? Thank you. Finally, some sound. And this is very important sutra to lecture because it's in keeping with the tradition of my late Chinese master. He was really the most wonderful lecturer on this sutra, because before he came along, no one really dared lecture on the sutra because it's just very, very difficult to lecture. And in my generation, his disciples, they all practically fell in love with it. It's a wonderful sutra. So I hope that you too, will also get to enjoy it, appreciate it. And it is, I meant to explain the sutra, not because I really understand it, because it's very profound, it's very difficult to understand. Next slide, please. It is, I would try, of course, to do my best to share with you what I know. But one of my primary reasons is to transfer to you the knowledge about, particular knowledge about the sutra that's critical to me for the development of Mahayana in the West. In particular, my interest was to, in a very small way, add to the knowledge about the sutra that my late Chinese master, Master Xinhua, didn't have a chance to do, primarily because probably his students weren't ready for it. We weren't ready to receive the information. But for Mahayana to really prosper in the West, we need to transfer this knowledge from Chinese into the Western languages. And that knowledge there is contained in this sutra, an explanation of the sutra by Master Jing Liang. Okay, next one. This I will get to that. We probably won't get to that until much later. But I want to tell you there's a real reason behind this. It's very important. I've been preparing to do this. It might take me 5 years, 10 years before I get to that stage where you are ready to receive it, okay? And many of you will be ready to receive it so that it's no longer a Chinese secret. Right now it's a Chinese secret. And if we leave it a Chinese secret, it will be lost because no one in China can really understand it anymore. So not only it's up to me, but also up to you to try to absorb it and understand it so that we can carry on and append to the Mahayana that Master Xinhua brought to this country. Okay, is that important? Yeah. And it's given to you because you deserve it. If you, in 5-10 years, if I feel that you're still not ready, I may not explain it to you. I may wait another 5-10 years. Okay, so you have to work hard. Okay. This is the sutra as known as the king of sutras. The lotus flower is considered the king of sutras in Buddhism. And this is the king of sutras. And that's how big it is. There are two major translations from Sanskrit into Chinese. One is from Buddhabhadra, and the more popular version is from Sikshananda. And this is a version that we use, that Master Xinhua used as well. Okay, next slide, please. The sutra is explained in 9 assemblies. It turns out the sutra, there are 3 versions of the sutra that are kept in the Dragon King's palace. The Dragon King is by the name of Karko Taka. Sounds like Japanese, but I'm sure he's not Japanese. There's a big version, the so-called big version spoken by Vairochana, Middle version spoken Vairochana is the Dharma body Buddha, and Nishanda Buddha speaks the middle version, spoke a middle version. That is Nishanda. Nishyanda is the reward body Buddha, and Shakyamuni Buddha, our Buddha, transformation body Buddha, spoke the short version. Okay, and it is kept in the dragon's palace to be revered there. Okay, and our one of our patriarchs, Venerable Nagarjuna, a very famous bodhisattva, a very famous patriarch, he went down to the dragon palace. He used his spiritual power to go down there, and got into that and read the sutra. And he memorized the short version, okay? Because he realized that the short version itself is more than we humans can handle. And so he brought back, the short version is about 100,000 verses, and he brought back only 45,000 from memory, and then transcribed it into Sanskrit, and then later was translated into Chinese, and even though he didn't translate everything, they translated about 40 chapters, which are representative of the Avatamsaka teachings. Okay, so within those 80 chapters, 40 chapters, there's complete teaching of the sutra itself. Next. The sutra is so profound that I will be the first one to tell you that I don't understand. Okay, it's way beyond me. Okay, so luckily for us, the Chinese master is a Chinese master by the name of Jing Liang. He's the fourth patriarch of the Huayan school. So he wrote a very extensive treatise explanation of the sutra. So it's considered to be the Bible of the sutra itself. Okay, if you want to understand the sutra, you need to read his explanation. So that's what we did. So Master Xinhua as well, he explained this sutra based on Master Jing Liang's guidelines as well. Okay, it should be no surprise to us. It feels like Master Jing Liang is actually may be known to outsiders as the flower adornment bodhisattva, but I feel like I got a strong suspicion that he's probably a transformation body Buddha himself. The rationale being that it takes the Buddha to really be able to say, I understand this sutra. Okay? And that's the nature of the beast. Unless you're Buddha, there's no way for you to understand it. Okay? So for Master Jing Liang, or his name is Cheng Guan, okay, for him to understand it, it's got to be a transformation body Buddha. Okay, he was born in China around the Tang Dynasty, 737 to 838. Extraordinary tall Chinese person. How tall are you? Yeah. 5'9". He's 9 feet. He's even taller than a basketball player. I think he'll have a huge career playing basketball nowadays. Never mind about the Avatamsaka Sutra. He'll make a fortune. So he's 9 feet tall. He has two pupils in his eyes. So at night, you see this eye actually shine. Okay. His arms extend below his knees, which is a mark of a person with high spirituality. Okay, it has 40 teeth. I don't know. They actually counted its teeth. It's so Chinese. He says it is said that most of us have between 32 and 38 teeth. That's normal people. But he is 40 teeth. Again, another hallmark of superior beings. The Buddha himself has 40 teeth. He's a fast reader. I read 7 lines. When we read, it takes us the time to read 1 line, he will read 7 lines. Nowadays, it's called speed reading. Okay? I used to take a course in Evelyn Wood, speed reading. I don't think I can still read 7 lines at a time. Highly intelligent as a person. Next, please. Is known as a transformation body of flower adornment bodhisattva because there was an arhat anecdote where an arhat saw two youth at the border between China and India. He saw 2 youth flying in the air. So he used his spiritual power and to stop them. And he asked them, "Stop! Where are you going?" And the youth would say, we're going from China to India to seek some teeth of the flower adornment bodhisattva to bring back to, no, that's from India to China, to bring back to India to worship and to make offerings to. So the arhat says, "Okay, you have a good reason, so keep going." And then the arhat went back to China, and at the time, of course, the flower, the Chengguan, Master Chengguan or Jingliang was dead already. So he recounted the story, and so they opened the coffin. They realized 2 of his teeth were missing. So that's why the Chinese believe that he's actually a flower adornment bodhisattva. I believe that he's probably a transformation Buddha. Okay, the Buddhists, they don't mess around. Trust me. If it's something as important as the Flower Adornment Sutra, they will not leave it to chances and have a bodhisattva explain it. Agree? I mean, Buddhas have Buddha standards. He's known as the 4th patriarch of Huayan school, the flower adornment school. And he's born during the reign of Xuanzong, Emperor Xuanzong, during the Tang dynasty. Left home life at the age of 11 years old at Baolin Temple. This should tell you that this is a special individual. How many kids would think of becoming a left home person as a teenager? Okay, and then what you will find, I find this interesting about the great masters, is that they spend their early years studying and researching the Vinaya, the precepts, rules or regulations of morality. Okay, he spent years and years studying precepts. Okay, that's it. Okay, so he did that until he was 20. That's when he became ordained. Because in Buddhism, back then, it still is the case today, you cannot become fully ordained until you are 20 years old. Before that, they won't. There's some exceptions in Chinese history, but typically they don't allow you to. Okay, so he lived through 9 emperors, was the national master to 7. It tells you that he has national recognition from the emperors. He studied under the third patriarch Fa Zhang, which is famous for postulating the Huayan school. Okay, and he's very learned as a monk. He's very knowledgeable about Buddhist principles, Vinaya's teachings, Chan, Tiantai, and so forth, as well worldly, meaning he knows about Taoist things, Confucian teachings, I Ching. He's an expert in I Ching, by the way. Okay, that's one of the superior knowledge that Chinese have, the I Ching, which is a superior knowledge. It's the wisdom, considered to be wisdom. He wrote the commentary on the Huayan, the Flower Adornment Sutra, that is the best source of reference, best reference on the topic. It took him 4 years to write it. Okay, and that's incredible. That's very, very fast. Okay, he has when you look at these great individuals, you look at what different about them. He has, and when he was a layperson, he also had these 10 requirements already. Okay, he wasn't fully ordained yet, and yet he has very high standards. He said, I will live the rest of my life based on these 10 requirements I impose upon myself. Okay, and it would be interesting. I figure that for us to look at what those requirements are. Okay, and I look at them. I read this thing here about when I was going back from there, about 17, 18 years ago. Okay, and I look at this and that doesn't make sense. It's so Chinese. The first one is that the body will not renounce the Shramana's appearance. Meaning what? They will always wear garments, robe, okay, the garments of a monk. It would not grow a beard, like Master Hsuan Hua. Master Hsuan Hua have a beard, okay? A monk is not supposed to have a beard. The Chinese and Korean people, you see the Bodhisattvas and Buddhas have a mustache here. Buddhas don't have mustaches, no Bodhisattvas, okay? Because it's not a Shramana's appearance. So say we'll strictly observe, adhere to the appearance of a monk his entire life. Okay? Number two, his mind is will not oppose the regulation of this come one. Meaning that whatever rules of morality, rules of and regulations the Buddha imposed upon Buddhist monks, he would never violate them, any of them. I don't know any monk who can do that. Again, that's why I suspect he's a Buddha. There's no way he can be a Bodhisattva. Okay? Only Buddhas can do this. Bodhisattvas, in my humble opinion, violate the Buddha's regulations left and right. Not him. That's impossible to do. Okay? Even with the mind, it's impossible. He's not sit with his back to the sutra of the Dharma realm, meaning that for his entire life, he would never show his back to the sutra of Dharma realm. What is the sutra of Dharma realm? It's the Flower Adornment Sutra, because it's considered the sutra that explains about the Dharma realm. universe, meaning that everything you need to know, you want to know about the universe, is all there. And only the Buddhists can make that claim. That the Buddhas can see the entire Dharma realm, and that's why they can explain this Avatamsaka Sutra. Okay? And it takes a person of the caliber of Qingyang or Chengguan master to be able to say, yes, that's what the Buddha means. Okay? So he says, because that the information contained in that sutra is so extraordinary, okay, to be at the same level as the Buddha himself. It's just like when you see the Buddha, you don't show your back to the Buddha, do you? You know, you like, even the emperor, when you go see the emperor, bow to the emperor, and then the emperor, okay, go. What do? You turn around and walk away, he will shoot you. Will chop your head off, right? Chinese people. I was never born in in an emperor. Agree? I mean, I remember in Chinese movies, you bow, say goodbye to the emperor, and then you walk backwards, right? And you trip over something, eventually. Okay? So he would never sit with his back to the Sutra or Dharma realm. So that's the kind of respect he has, okay, towards the Sutra. The nature, number 4, the nature is not defiled by the states of emotions. Chinese for what? Anyone? The Chinese is very literary. It's very, very nicely put. Okay. It means that he's totally emotionless. Okay? Yeah. He's probably very boring. You give him a good food for lunch, he says, oh, thank you. This is such a great food. Oh. And you find him picking out at lunch? Never. How was lunch today, by the way? I'm so full. Good thing you cannot see my tummy. You see? So this man here has emotions, but how can you have emotions not defiled by emotions? He's no ordinary people. He's no ordinary person. Okay? When we have fun, right? When we enjoy food, that's called defilement. You know, we like food. That's a defiled thought. Okay? As far as the pure Buddhist goes, they will tell you, you like food? Oh my God, you're just supposed to be a monk? I'm going somewhere else where they're true cultivators, like over there. Okay? So how can you have emotions not defiled by it? Okay? And that's a state of a great bodhisattva. Regular bodhisattvas have emotions and defiled by that. They can't help it. But great bodhisattvas and Buddhas, they will not be defiled by emotions. Not just great bodhisattvas, it's great bodhisattvas. Okay? This 10 crown or be above, I feel. Number 5. So number 4 shows you that when he talks about nature now, the nature, nature not defiled by states of emotion. Nature here refers to the fact that it's Buddha nature, meaning that he's enlightened. No two ways about it. But not just enlightened, very high level enlightenment. Okay? To reach a state where you no longer are defiled by emotions. Okay? Number 5, feet would not tread the dust of a nunnery. You can tell that it's okay to discriminate against nuns back then. That's Chinese, okay? We don't do that anymore in this country, right? I think if we say to explain this to American people, Western women, they can say, "You guys are so discriminatory. How can you become enlightened? You discriminate like that." I don't know. I'm not enlightened, so I can't answer you. But it's kind of interesting that it bothered me. I admit to you, because I had a sister-in-law who's Caucasian, and when I explained to her, when I became a novice monk, I explained to her that nuns have to walk behind monks. And then she asked, why? She was talking to the nun at our temple in a Long Beach monastery. She came to pay me a visit. And she happened to talk to a nun there who was also visiting another disciple of Master Xunhua. And so she's asking, how's your life as a nun and so forth? And so the other nun opened his big mouth and explained to her everything. She's Chinese nun. He says, I have to walk behind the monks. I've been here 20 years. I still have to walk behind him. And she said, why? Because the Buddha says all his wisdom tells us to. And I was busy from afar. I can see her face getting redder and redder. So by the time I got to see her, I said, hello, goodbye. I ran away right away. I said, no, not so fast. Tell me, why do you pick on women in your world? I thought you're supposed to be superior people. And I said, can I get back to you on that? Westerners couldn't understand that. So when I was a novice, this is about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, we avoided talking about, the nuns, the regulations, stuff like that, because we know none of us could face the wrath of the Western women. So to say that you never put your foot on the ground of a nunnery, that's really extreme. Okay, and why is that? It's not for him; it's for us, monks. You understand that? It's not about him. If he's a great bodhisattva, he's a Buddha, it doesn't matter anymore whether he walks into a nunnery or into a Playboy mansion. Is it still around, the Playboy mansion? They walk into those places, it doesn't matter to them, okay? They're way above it. So, but for him to say that I'm going to be like this, initially it makes sense. For him to be older and still do this is for the sake of his disciples, his followers. He says that, beware women, basically. You guys are sheeps. Good. Okay, so anyway, it's very difficult to explain to Western women. All right, luckily I don't have to do that. I'm Asian. Number 6, ribs will not touch the bed of a lay person, meaning they would never go and use the bed or sleep on the bed of a lay person. Whether it's the bed that a lay person sleeps in the monastery or a bed outside the monastery, as long as the lay person touches it, he would never touch it. That's how pure he is. Now, speaking of discriminating against women, This is even worse. Think about it. It's both women and men, and children and babies. Very extreme Chinese person. 7, the eyes do not gaze at improper spectacles. No kung fu movies. That's too much. What about culture? I object to this. Would you agree with me that in this day and age, the TV is such an important means of education? Chung-In Sunim, you agree or not? He watches Netflix, by the way. Yes? It's very cultural. I learned so much from PBS. Okay? So, improper spectacles is so pure. It's just incredible of a man. Okay? And that's why he's able to understand this sutra that we can't. Okay? And the tongue, number 8, the tongue will not taste edibles after noon. Okay? He observes strictly the 1 meal a day, meaning you don't eat after noon. Okay? But the one thing that you have to pay attention to the way the Chinese put things, it's very subtle. Especially, it's important to remember the context of all this information. This is about the behavior or the standards of a great sage. Okay? Not just anyone. So that's why do they say taste edibles? Meaning what? Meaning that he's not seeking flavors. What's the point in living? I ask myself. You can't enjoy good food. I mean, Jesus. Okay? So, I don't get it. How can you not live and not enjoy food and wine? Number 9, hand not let loose of brown, bright beads. He's always held his beads. Okay? Even while sleeping. Think about it. How is it possible? This morning, people asked me, can I sit sleep? And can I slouch? Okay? This guy would not even let loose the beads even when he's sleeping. How is it possible? It's incredible, the standards he has. And you know what it means? That he never failed. He does this his entire life. It's fascinating. Okay? The kind of samadhi he has, 24 hours a day. Okay? You know, the Hinayana people, they talk about mindfulness. This is supreme mindfulness. You hold it in your hands 24 hours a day. Think about it. The Hinayana people talk about mindfulness. Mind you, right? You go to any other meditation classes, and shame on you, traitors. You go to any other meditation classes around the Bay Area, will tell you about mindfulness, right? And you have to be mindful. You have to meditate. You have to learn to be mindful, right? Xiao Kai, huh? Have to be mindful. Remember, boy? Okay. And they keep on talking about it. Venerable Cheng Guan, he holds his beats 24 hours a day. It's nothing more mindful than this. Think about it. Every day. It's an incredible state. Okay? 10 at night, not apart from robes and bowl. When it's hot, when it gets to be 100 degrees at night, he still wears his sash. Okay? It means that, by the way, back up a little bit. There's a rule for that. Don't be confused about this. Not apart from roast and bowl doesn't mean he holds it like this. The holds a bowl like this. Okay? Doesn't look good. Monks and nuns, please pay attention. Especially you Koreans, extreme Koreans. Don't have to do that. Okay? It means in the Buddha's regulation, at night, okay? At night, we are supposed to have our 3 ropes and our bowl within reach. That's all it means. You don't need to hold it. You need to put your hands like this all the time. Okay, the hands is for the beads, remember? Okay, so if you put the beads here and the ropes and bowl here, how are you gonna drink tea? So that's impossible. So that's why. So that's the constancy of his cultivation. Incredible individual. Okay, so he sets his standards just so high up there, and that's why he's able to attain a state of mind that enables him to understand the Flower Adornment Sutra. It takes that kind of mindset to be able to understand it. All right? Okay, more information. It's repetitive here. Jingliang, okay, is the name of the mountain. Chengguan is actually his Dharma name. Jingliang is name of the mountain there where when he cultivated. Jingliang is Chinese for pure and cool. He was. It's a mountain peak in the Wutai Shan in China. I think Wutai Shan is Chungnan, right? Chinese people. Is it Chungnan or not? Wutai is in the Chungnan area. Oh, the Chinese don't know their geography anymore. I don't feel so bad anymore. Now the Chinese is making money. No more geography. Okay, so he lived in the Wutai is a sage area in China. You want to go on pilgrimage, you'll find the great bodhisattvas there and the low Chinese monks there as well. Okay, it's all the Jingliang mountain, and he spoke Dharma to the emperor, one of the Tang emperors, and the emperor says, listening to you, you have caused me to become pure and cool. So that's why pure and cool. Why is that? Huh? Why did the emperor say that? Anyone knows? I expect the Chinese to know. Yes, Red.
He enters Samadhi.
Absolutely. When Master Chengguan was speaking Dharma, because that day was the birthday of the emperor. So the emperor, back then in the Tang dynasty, the Tang emperors were extremely wise and blessed. And the people who are extremely wise and blessed, they draw near Mahayana. So he would, for celebration of his birthday, he invited Master Chengguan to come to the palace to speak Dharma to him. Okay? I would go for a ride on Half Moon Bay on my birthday. But him, no. He called someone and say, talk to me. Speak Dharma to me. Wouldn't you rather fly to Paris for a shopping spree and a restaurant edibles? No, speak Dharma to me, okay? And so, and clearly it's not the first time. And that's why when Master Cheng Guan spoke Dharma to the emperor on that particular day, okay, he spoke it so well that the emperor entered samadhi, and when you enter samadhi, you feel cool and you feel very blissful and you're very happy. Okay, and that kind of happiness, that kind of great feelings that you cannot get from eating, from drinking, from marijuana, you name it. There's no way. Okay, it's out of this world. And that's why the emperor was so impressed. He says, wow, today I feel so special. And because of that, he named him Jingliang, National Master. Okay, and they renamed the mountain where he cultivated as Jingliang Mountain, I think. Okay, Chinese commentary. Okay. Can we take out the 10 self-requirements here? Okay, and in 796, toward the end of his life, 40 years before he died, he went to Chang'an, which is back then the capital of China, to help do translation. Xuanzang was translating the sutras from Sanskrit into Chinese. So Xuanzang, great Master Xuanzang, had thousands of monks. Many thousands of monks doing the translation work. Okay, to translate from Sanskrit into Chinese. You have Chinese monks, Indian monks, all kinds of monks. Okay, I don't think there were nuns back then, only monks. Okay, so when it came to the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Xuanzang, Master Xuanzang didn't understand, so he had to go, Master Jingliang had to go to Chang'an to help translate it properly and actually help certify a lot of translation as well. Okay. He also did a lot of other translations that were lost, of the Lotus Sutra, Lankavatara Sutra, which is about Chan, Mika, treaty, which is about consciousness only school. So you see, he's all over the map. There's nothing he does not know. Again, another reinforcement of my theory that he's got to be a Buddha. Okay? We can spend our entire life cultivating and practicing and learning and researching, and you're lucky if you can understand one school versus many, many schools, and that Master Cheng Guan is able to. Okay, it has, again, so you see, he sets the standards, okay, a behavior, and also standards for accomplishment. Accomplishment is what? It takes a man to explain sutras. Okay, in Buddhism, if you're a real man, you have to explain sutras. Women too. Actually, many of Master Hsuan Hua's non-disciples explain the Avatamsaka Sutra as well. But I'm not impressed. Used to be. Anyway, so it's so important that what Master Jingliang did was to show the way for the future generations, the standards of behavior, of self-discipline, standards of erudition, of wisdom, sutras of wisdom, samadhi, and so forth. Okay, and also, just as important, great many disciples, just like Master Hsuan Hua. Okay, Master Hsuan Hua is a very pure monk. He explained wonderful sutras in a way it hasn't been done before. Okay, and then he had many great disciples. Okay, so there's some real famous Wei Feng Zhong Mi, Dong Du Sheng Rui, okay, and Hai Yin, Fa Yin. I don't know why the four names. Oh yeah, it's the Dharma name and then the place where they cultivate, I guess. Ji Guang Si Ren. And then finally as Meng Xia Si Zhe and Mi Zong and all those Zong Mi. And later Zong Mi was the fifth patriarch. So he trained his own replacement. All right. Questions or comments? Standards of a great man. He passed away in 1838. Was 102 years old, 70 years of Dharma age, 70 years as a monk. It's incredible. Okay? And 9 feet tall. You think when you're 9 feet tall, when you reach about 70, 80, then you have problems walking, I imagine. Yes? Yes.
I saw he left home at age of 11. So if he passed away at 101 years old, then the Dharma age should be more. Is that right?
I leave the math to you and...
90, yeah, just small correction.
I don't care. Not interested in math. I'm a monk. Okay? You money counters. Just 70 years, 6 years. You know, in this day and age, forget about 70 years of Dharma age. That's impossible. Okay? It's not done anymore. Okay? I just pray to God I live to be 30 years of Dharma age, if I'm lucky. His explanation is very inconceivable. Okay? I highly recommend if you are interested in true wisdom to investigate his teaching in Chinese. Okay, Master Hsuan elaborated some, like he started explaining some, and then he dropped off. He stopped explaining. Probably realized that his disciples are, huh? Because. Master Cheng Guan, the standard is so high, we should use as a reference. But I remember reading the prologue to the sutra, something like close to 20 years ago, because I was prepared to lecture on sutra. You see, you need time to prepare. I figure. So I said, what's better way to prepare to lecture than reading the Flower Adornment Sutra. So I read Master Hsuan Hua's Flower Adornment Sutra in English, and it's not complete, but it has some explanations of the introduction that we're going to go into a little bit later. And I read the prologue. It's about 4 volumes. First volume, second volume, third volume, fourth volume, like this. It's not even the complete prologue, okay? And I read and said, okay. I couldn't understand a thing. Okay? I imagine some of you are like that as well. But it's important just to listen, because those seeds are of the highest quality possible. Okay, I couldn't imagine years later I'm here talking about the same thing. So recently I started reading it again and began to appreciate a few pages here and there. Okay, so it should be challenging for us to go into. Next. Okay, The Huayan school proposes to analyze sutras by the method of 10 doors. Okay? Number one, causes and conditions of the arisal of the teaching. And let's go through them quickly. Don't try to understand too much because you only embarrass me. Sometimes just read it, just listen to it. Number two, stores and teachings containing it. So you, first of all, you look at how was the sutra explained? What's the reason for the sutra to be explained, to be spoken, and then what was the circumstances that enable that to happen. Number two, once you look at the sutra here, then you have to look at to classify it. What kind of sutra it is? What kind of stores? Okay, and what kind of teaching the sutra contain? Okay. And number three, apportionment of meanings and principles. So we explain the sutra has, each sutra carries a set of principles and theories and teachings that are very important and that need to convey to the listeners, the audience. Okay? And why is that? Because they correspond to the potentials, the people who listen. Remember? Okay. I feel one of the reasons that Ma Hua did not explain a lot of more advanced teachings from Master Cheng Guan's analysis of the sutra is because his disciples were not ready to receive it. Okay. It would be a waste of time for them. Okay. So he can go so far with them. So number four is that you only explain sutras to the people who can benefit from that. Okay, so this sutra here originally was explained to bodhisattvas, not for us. Okay, the Buddha, after he became a Buddha, the first thing he did was to speak sutras, to speak this sutra for 21 days. To the bodhisattvas. It is said that at the time, because it was spoken by Vairochana Buddha and Nishayana Buddha. Those two Buddhas are the kinds of Buddhas that the arhats, the sound hearers, cannot see, cannot hear. And that's why when the Buddha is explaining that in 21 days, it's for the bodhisattvas, not for the arhats. Not for the sound hearers, not for the humans. Okay? And for us to be able to listen to it is a real, requires tremendous level of blessings. Okay? Okay? You are planting the seeds of great wisdom. And it took a great bodhisattva like my Master Hsuan Hua to dare lecture it and to bring it to the West. Okay, and you see how great your potentials are. In that he feels that we are worthy, okay, to listen and to be exposed to this particular Dhamma door called Avatamsaka Dhamma door, okay, which is all there is to know about the universe. Number 5, the teaching substance, whether it's shallow or it's deep, and so forth. Okay. Number 6, the purpose of the sutra, of the goal, and how pervasive, where it's supposed to go, and how different it is compared to the other Buddhist teachings. Okay. Number 7, classification by category, chapter, and assembly. This is very literary, very scholarly. The Huayin school is extremely scholarly. Okay, so they categorize everything. And number 8, the response and insights in transmission and translation. When they were translating and this particular sutra, they have a lot of different responses. So it's well documented. And then number 9, explanation, general explanation of sutra title. And number 10, the sutra body itself, explaining the content of the sutra. Okay, so that is a very detailed analysis of the sutra itself. Okay. Any question? I've been talking for over an hour now after a full lunch. And I don't blame you for being sleepy, because I am sleepy. I bore myself to death. Okay? No questions? Comments? Look, the Koreans, they sit straight. That's because they haven't had lunch yet. Question?
Hello. So I have a question. For the monk that said that, well, he wanted to achieve pureness, and I don't know if maybe I misunderstood. Can a Buddhist achieve pureness by being of the world? What do you mean by that? By being with the poor, with the sick, with the stupid, with the lay person? You know what I'm trying to say? Maybe.
Repeat that, please.
So the monk was trying to reach pureness, or he was considered pure, right? But then he refuses to be on the bed or like sleep on the bed of the lay person, or like, and he got all these rules for himself. But my question is, can someone in Buddhism reach pureness by be of the world, like part of the world, by helping the poor, the stupid, or giving dharma to all living beings, right? But I feel like he was trying not to be, like he keeps to himself. I don't know, maybe I misunderstood.
I missed the last few sentences. Please repeat them.
So if you, like, for example, the monk was trying to be pure, or he was considered to be pure.
Yes.
But he refused, or he didn't want to, like, sleep on the bed of a lay person, or like, and all these rules that he had. Is it not better, or can a Buddhist achieve pureness that he had by being with the poor, with the stupid, with the lay person, with the sinners, with all these people that are maybe outcasts of society? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but can someone achieve that pureness?
What about pureness again? I keep on missing a few words here and there. I apologize.
It's okay. So what I'm trying to say is that the monk was trying to be separated from society, and he kind of wanted to keep to himself.
Okay.
That's my perspective.
Yeah.
So,
can you repeat that, please? I'm kidding. Oh, you do have a sense of humor.
My question is...
You're so patient. It takes... The Buddhists who have given up already say, Master, it's okay. It's okay. I give up. But it's okay. Continue.
So my question is, the monk was trying to achieve pureness, or he was pure. He was considered to be pure. But my question is, can a Buddhist achieve pureness by being part of the world? By what I say by that is by helping the poor, the people that don't giving the dharma to other human beings are not considered to be pure or like lay persons, because he kind of like, for me, he feels that he wants to
Extreme.
be separated from the world.
Yeah, kind of extreme, isn't it? It's not practical. You agree?
I agree.
Okay, then we are in agreement. Sorry it took so long to get to the same conclusion. I agree, it's so extreme. That's precisely my point, Daniel, because it is because he has such high standards that we, low-level people, cannot possibly make sense out of it. But to him, it makes completely, makes sense. So that's why I can't explain it to you. Let me put it this way for you, see if it helps. Okay. He is so pure that he would not lay his back on the bed that's previously used by a lay person. Okay? You know what it means to me? OfferUp and Craigslist will be out of business. You guys are non-shoppers like me. You wouldn't understand or appreciate these things. Okay. No, it's interesting because, Daniel, think about it. At some point during the day, we need to have some rest, don't we? Right? And when you think rest, you want to lie down somewhere, yes? So for him to say, my back will not touch a bed like, touched by a lay person anywhere. It shows that he doesn't mingle with lay people in such environments. So it is a state of mind that I myself don't understand why so extreme. Okay, but if the best way, my only excuse is that if you really try to understand that, try to be like that your entire life. Then maybe someday you understand. My point is that, Daniel, please be careful. Okay. Can I be honest with you, Daniel? Okay? Just because we don't understand doesn't mean we have to reject it. Okay? The point is that these great sages, these great beings, set a standard to do it a certain way that's way beyond our imagination, way beyond our comprehension. Okay? It only means that they know something that we don't. Okay? And the only way for you to find out is by doing it. If you you make a vow to not ever let your back touch your own bed, because you're a lay person, aren't you? Then maybe someday you understand why. That's my point. Do you get it? I admit to you I don't understand. I feel it's extreme too. But however, be careful. Do not say it's nonsense and say, no, I'm not going to do it. Sometimes when you listen to the Dharma, Daniel, you don't understand, it's okay, I don't understand. Let me shelve it for now. Okay? Don't reject it yet. Okay? And that's wisdom. Because these sages set these standards for a reason. Because it's beneficial for them and for us as well. I believe that. Just because I don't understand doesn't mean I will reject it. I would say, I don't understand it, and someday, when I become Catholic, I might try it. Okay? For now, it's too late. I'm a Buddhist monk already. Yes, YouTube question. Okay, as expected, we have YouTube problems.
Master,
That's
would people listen to this monk today considering how worldly our society is today?
Would people listen to this monk?
Considering how worldly our society is today.
You know, it's a fair question, but you asked the wrong person. So I want you to understand that this monk is out of the world. So you asked me, I said, yes, absolutely. Okay? It still makes sense to me. Okay? Because if he says it, if he does it, he says, I'm going to do that, it means that, listen, if he says, I'm going to do it this way, he actually says, why don't you try it? And you see for yourself why I did this my entire life and ended up explaining this fantastic sutra that you can't, why you cannot. Okay? So it's a challenge to me. So yes, for nowadays, it's probably too extreme to most people, but for obscure monks like me, I would set it as maybe not this lifetime, but in the future, I would love to try it. I make a vow to try in the future. Right now, I'm too old. I need my lunch and my bed. Okay, I admit to you. Okay, but it doesn't mean that it's nonsense. It's something that I believe it's so beneficial. Because let me put it this way. I don't know anyone alive that I can think of who can explain the Flower Adornment Sutra the way this monk did. No one I can think of. Not my late Chinese teacher, not Venerable Xu Yun, no one I can think of. Okay? And to me, the only thing I can relate to is the fact he can reach that state because of these tough standards, these impossible standards he held for himself. There's a correlation somewhere there. So, and unless we try it, we'll never know. Okay? Does it help, Daniel? Okay. Still another question? Yes. Me too.
Our goal be.
Okay. Repeat that, please.
How should we listen to the sutra? What kind of attitude or mindset should we have? And what should our goal be?
Okay. How should we listen to this sutra? Okay. You should listen without thinking. Just listen. Okay? Don't sit there and worry about anything else. Just listen. Just listen, listen, and listen. So when you sit there and listen to this, and you say, I agree, disagree, that's fine. But then other thoughts come in, you say, oh, did I turn off my oven? Okay? Happened to you? Anyone? Happened to me all the time. Those extraneous thoughts that pop in mind, ignore them. That's how you should listen. All right? That's for most of you. For those you are a little bit better, you should listen and really focus on the sound. Okay, listen to the sound. Okay, is there a song to that effect? Oh, I forgot. Okay, so listen and just it's a concentrate. Okay, listen, and number 3, do not try to understand. The Buddha Dharma is not meant for you to understand, because your understanding is not that important. Okay, what we're doing right now is help plant the seeds, the supreme seeds, one of the better seeds in Mahayana that's available right now. Okay, and it needs to happen for you to be able to become a Buddha quicker. Okay, so we're planting seeds. So it's nothing to understand. Whether you understand or not is not important. You just listen. It is so important. Trust me, that you need to spend the time to listen. Okay, and because opportunities like this will not happen very often. I really feel ashamed myself. My master explained the sutra in 10 years. Master Hsuan it took him 10 years to explain the sutra. And I wish I were there. Because if I were there, I would have so many questions. That now I have questions, I don't know who to ask. Okay? So listen, you have questions, ask questions. Okay? And if you do that, I found that you will find that, many of you will find that it's very, very enjoyable. Just like the emperor, when Master Jingyang spoke Dharma to him, you will enjoy it. Because when I remember when I was in Calgary, the Avatamsaka temple. It's funny, huh? And that's the first time where Master Hengzuo, a white monk, whose samadhi was even lower than mine, he allowed us to listen to the sutra after lunch. To this sutra, Master Hsuan's tapes on this flower adornment sutra. So every day after lunch, on Sunday, okay, because he's always running around looking at properties. They have so many properties. They're so rich. These people are incredible. It's not fair. So he's running around managing all these properties, renter and so forth. I had to take care of the temple. And so he allowed us on Sunday afternoon after lunch to listen to sutra for an hour or 2 hours. I don't remember anymore. And so we listened to the tape in Chinese. And then there is a Hong Kong lady who would translate into English for me. So we played for 5-10 minutes, and then a few minutes, and she would translate. And we keep on doing that every single day. So at first, I did it because I was told. I didn't like the white guy. I never liked people anyway. So it's not his fault, my fault. But so I did it because I was a novice, so I had to do what I was told as part of the training. But after about a few weeks, we were all looking forward to it. It's so addictive, the sutra, especially when you have someone like Master Hsuan explain it or speak to you, like Jingyang explaining the Dharma to the emperor. Okay, it's very easy for you to enter samadhi. So we all loved it. We all loved No, not Sundays. Every day. The Hong Kong have nothing to do in Calgary. The Cantonese. So this lady would come over, and every day we listen to it. It's fascinating, and we loved it. I really liked it so much. Okay, just listening to it. Okay, so just listen, and just relax, listen. Don't think too much. Don't try to understand. And you have any questions, comments, criticism, feel free. Let it loose. Because it's time, it's an opportunity for you to dump garbage. And it's just as good as now as ever. So if you have questions, ask questions, and I won't be able to answer everything, but we'll try to find an answer together. Okay? Anything else you might want to add? How should we listen to this sutra? Just listen. Don't think so much. Yes. IEW Nia Nuam.
Hello. Master Cheng Guan, I thought he only explained chapter 39 of the Avatamsaka Sutra, or did he explain the whole sutra?
The whole sutra. All of it. He explained even more than the sutra. He wrote a introduction of the sutra that I couldn't understand. I rushed through it very quickly. I said, okay, I read it. I could claim I read it.
Master, for those of us who can read Chinese, do you recommend us read it?
No, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, it's just like I wouldn't recommend that you go to Heng Lai's Chan class either. But that's a different topic. Not good use of your time. I'm not going to use your time to read Master Cheng Guan's writing in Chinese. I would recommend you read it after you become a great bodhisattva, not before. Okay? Because you won't be able to understand it. Okay? It's people like Master Shenhua's job to help you understand it. It's much more productive use of your time. Okay? Because if you overdo it, because Master Cheng Guan's treatise is extremely complex. Okay? To the point where we're lucky that Master Shenhua took it and then explained to us only part of it in simple words that piqued our interest. Because if we were to read the Avatamsaka Sutra by itself, or the treatise from Master Cheng Guan by itself, we would be totally lost. Okay? So it's not good use of our time. All right? So I would not read it yet. Okay? I would go slow. I would read Master Shenhua's first, because it's a low level. The way he explains it, kind of low. Okay? Because he explained, I feel, prematurely to his disciples, so he couldn't go into the depth of the teaching. Okay? So no. Short answer is no. Probably not good use of your time. It's meant for the scholars who have samadhi. The scholars from the universities, I can only think of one who has samadhi. The others, too low to bother. So they can read the words, but they don't get it. So it's a waste of time in my mind. Okay, it's very easy to get caught up on all the words, all these concepts that are totally meaningless to you. All right? Any other questions? Yes, Fred.
Master, I would like to ask a question because sometimes when we get home, for me personally, when I get home from work and I get tired, and I love to listen to Dharma lecture, but I got tired, so I lie in bed and listen. And I know it's disrespectful, but I don't have the energy to sit up. Is that okay, Master?
Absolutely. It's better to lie down, listen, or not listen at all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're not Jing Yang anyway, so who cares?
I don't know what Jin Yang is.
I'm of the school that we need to be flexible. These standards are so high, are meant for a certain kind of people, not for us. Okay, we are not really able to follow the standards. We should know about the standards and challenge ourselves that someday we want to do it. Then maybe we understand why. Okay, they would spend their entire life demonstrating that you can do that, they could do that. But for us, I feel that especially the Chinese and Vietnamese and Koreans and Japanese and so forth, they're caught up in the marks, in the forms. I don't care. Okay, what matters is the heart. Okay, if let me put it this way: if you're Catholic and you don't sit in full lotus, and you wear a mask, and you don't take refuge, in spite of all those weaknesses, if you sincerely want to say, "Wow, this is interesting. I'd like to. I like to listen to it." Okay, that to me is makes it worth my time to explain it to you. Okay, so whether you're lying down or you're sitting up or you're in full lotus or wide awake or asleep, it doesn't matter. Okay, and the point here is that the Dharma is supposed to help you. They're not, if you ask Master Qing Liang, he may say, "I will not lie down if I listen to myself." But then you say, "Can I ask you a question? Can I lie down while I listen to you?" He says, "Yes." Okay, I'm going out on a limb to protect my people. But luckily it worked so far. Meaning that you should not misunderstand the Dharma. The Dharma is extremely accommodating in my mind. Okay? It's not meant for you to say, if you want to listen to my Dharma, you have to be in full lotus, you have to be concentrated, you have to have wisdom, otherwise you don't deserve to listen. It doesn't work like that. It's meant, if it's of any use at all to you, then it serves its purposes already. Okay, so if you say that I come home, I'm tired, and I'm so tired, and I find that the way she puts it is actually I heard it differently. I find that even though when I'm tired, instead of making a face at my husband, screaming at my kids, I lie down. I turn on, the Dharma. I listen to it. Okay? What is not said is that it helps me regain my balance. It helps me recover quicker than otherwise. Because when I listen to the Dharma, I stop thinking. Yes? You're tired because the mind is so tired. Yes? Of those you who are making so much money out there, especially in pandemic era, it's amazing. And you still have a job. And you are so busy working, and you go home, you're so tired. Okay? We understand that. And for the Dharma to be of service to you, whether you're sitting, or you're lying down, or you're sleeping, or you're snoring, okay? Whatever helps, we say, yes, by all means, please do it. Okay? If other people say, no, you have to, especially the Chinese Master Shenor, he says, if you listen to the Dharma and you're not respectful, I remember reading that somewhere in English, in the English translation. He says, Master Shenor said it in his own mouth. I remember this. He says, if you, do you have a sutra anywhere here? You read sutras, and if you leave the sutra open, you put it on your chair, okay, and the sutra sticks out, you know what happens? Weito Bodhisattva will be standing there with his arms like this, making sure if the sutra falls off the chair, he'll be catching it 24 hours a day. And I said, how cool! Weito is serving on me. I loved it. Later I realized who Weito was. Weito was the same level as Jing Liang. Sacrilegious. And look, I'm still around. So you see, the point is that, actually it's funny because back then I said, I don't care, I'm tired. Either I read it lying down, okay, I don't read it at all. Okay? And I chose to read it. And until I fall asleep, you know, if it falls down, it falls on the floor, it falls on the floor. I don't mean to make it fall on the floor. There's Weito Bodhisattva who's not doing his job. Okay? So it's funny, back then I disagree with Master Sheng. I say, I don't care. I'm sorry. I disagree here. I'd rather read it instead of not reading it because it helps me. Back then I have a bad attitude already. So now you're asking me, after 20 years of doing that, you expect me to change my mind? No, I still feel the same way. Okay? If it helps you, by all means. Okay? And to me, you should not misunderstand the Chinese teaching. That Chinese meant to do this. When he said the Hinayana, Mahayana people said you have to be respectful, you have to have clean clothes, brush your teeth, put on makeup. No, not makeup. Put on new clothes, take a shower, and all those things. Had to be extremely respectful. It's meant for the ideal conditions, ideal circumstances. Okay? It's not meant for people like us who have to take care of the family, who's struggling to just survive. Okay? And if that's the case, then the Dharma is of no use to us. Okay? So don't be confused. Don't worry about that. I feel that is extreme. If it's meant to be an advice for under the ideal circumstances, it's not ideal. After a hard day's work, you're tired and you're not at your best. If the Dharma helps you when you're like that, by all means, go for it. Okay? Don't worry about it. And if you go to hell, please don't quote me. No wonder. Do we have a good relationship with Weito? Hey, boys and girls? I don't remember anymore. Okay, next question. Wei Mountain.
Amitabha. Master, I think Daniel's earlier question was the monk observing these 10 precepts to help him attain purity. Now the question is, can we still obtain purity while we mix up with the other people in the world and being contaminated, or we absolutely have to do it that way to obtain purity?
You're asking the wrong person again. Oh my God. Of course, when you're with others, it's impossible to be pure, from my personal perspective. Okay? Remember I said, maybe when you get the high level, like a 10th ground bodhisattva, you can really be in the mud and not get the mud touch you. When the Chinese and the Buddhists have that imagery, then the lotus flower grows in the mud, and the mud doesn't touch the lotus flower. There's no soil of lotus flower. Baloney. Not for all of us. Okay? Okay? So maybe it applies to Master Cheng Guan. Okay? It certainly applies to me. It doesn't apply to most of us, including my Chinese teacher. And this is why little knowledge is very dangerous. You read it and you say, my God, we can't mix with the world. We have to be pure. There is no such a thing, let me tell you. Okay? It's a Catholic thing. For us Buddhists, we don't have to be that pure. Okay? At least in America. I'm joking, of course. Purity is not a state. Purity is an aspiration. No one can be pure except for the Buddha. If that's so, what's the point in teaching precept, teaching about purity, teaching about not letting your lay on a lay person's bed? It's a standard that you aspire to. Which helped you become a Buddha quicker than otherwise. Okay? So of course, this is a mystery that the Chinese and the Vietnamese and the Koreans like to mystify, and they say, oh my God, you have to be so pure for you to become enlightened. Baloney. Okay, no such a thing. Okay? Because these people are not enlightened, and that's why they talk nonsense. They don't understand what it takes to become enlightened. They don't, it's not the way you think. Let me put it that way. Okay, and this is what I fault the Buddhists in general. That I'm from the outside looking in. I'm really a nobody, so that's why I can say anything I want without getting too much attention. But the point being that all these people said, these are standards. You have to be. You cannot lie. You cannot kill. You cannot steal. But most of us lie. Most of us kill. You walk on the floor, you're killing bugs like and microbes like crazy. Anyone? I do. Okay. I can't tell you how often I lie during the day. But I feel very bad about it. And that's precepts, by the way. It says, you're not supposed to lie. But listen, if your wife looks at you and say, you like my hair? What are you going to say? Husbands, you better tell the truth, right? Of course, honey, you look marvelous. Not funny. No sense of humor. No wonder you guys are not doing well. The point being that it's a standard of purity that the Buddhists and the Bodhisattvas say that's the standard you need to reach. And by trying to reach there, the harder you work, the quicker you make it. Okay? And there's one thing that, by the way, that most people who the self-proclaimed experts about purity and about Buddhism say. They say that that you need to be absolutely pure. No, you don't. You can be not pure and yet make it. Okay? And the exercise is that you will not learn unless you make mistakes. So these purity are the standards to help you gauge whether you made a mistake or not. Okay? But part of the process is that you need to know what the standard is. Okay? Black or white. Okay? And then what happens, what you need to learn to do when you recognize you crossed the line. What do you do to recover? And that is called what? Anyone? YouTube. What is that called? What do you do when you make a mistake? You made a boo-boo. You create offenses. Knowing what to do is called what? Wisdom. You think wisdom is like perfection? No, wisdom is to know how to recover when you are in trouble. If you're tired, how do you recover? If your head is not clear, how do you recover? That's called wisdom. Yes, does YouTube still have a question, or are we done with that? Go ahead, YouTube.
There's a question. The question is from Ru Ming. Master, because Master Qing Liang always had his beads, I assume he was always reciting. Is that correct? Do you recommend that for all of us?
When I heard that, my first question was, I said, what about when he goes to the bathroom? Excuse me for being so Americanized. I said, what do you do? So a question that's a mystery that still remains unanswered in my mind. Okay, I'd love to ask him, Master, can I ask you a question, please? What do you do with the beads when you go to the bathroom and you need to wash your hands? Because he says his hands will not be apart from the beads, right? I said, what do you do when you wash your hands? How do you do that? One hand? So you wash your hands like this? You guys are too much. Okay? So, again, you cannot take it literally in my mind. You cannot take it literally. I feel that there's some practical considerations that cannot have not worked out yet. But what does he do with the beads? I imagine he recites the Buddha's name. That's what you're supposed to do with the beads. Okay? If you have the beads like that all day long, it's supposed to help you, remind you to remember to recite the Buddha's name. Okay? It's a very, very important Dharma door in Buddhism. Not just for you, for the great Bodhisattvas as well. If they do it, we might as well. The great Bodhisattvas, they recite the Buddha's name. You know that? That's what they do. Constantly, 24 hours a day. Jing Liang, Master Jing Liang, Master Yin Guang, he recited the Buddha's name 24 hours a day when he was transcribing the Tripitaka in Chinese. 24 hours a day. When he was working, he's still reciting the Buddha's name. Okay? He's great strength Bodhisattva, he's a Buddha. So when you get to a high level Bodhisattva, you recite the Buddha's name constantly. And that's why the low level people say, I'm a Chan person, I don't recite the Buddha's name. Because you're too low. Sounds familiar? You Chan people? Okay, so you heard it from us, okay? We are Wei Yang lineage. We recite the Buddha's name. Yes, Wei Montang.
Master, I wear the beads when I go to the bathroom, and then some people approach me and say I'm being disrespectful. Is that correct?
Yes.
Am I being disrespectful when I go to the bathroom and have my bead with me?
Yes. It is disrespectful because basically the beads should not go to the unsanitary places, because you may not be aware of it, but there's a certain odor, certain gases in there, and that's not very good. So you usually people, when they go to the bathroom, this is why I wanted to ask Master Jing Liang myself. When you go to the bathroom, you put your beads outside before you walk in. If you do, then your hands are disconnected from your beads. Okay, so that's why it's right. You don't want to bring the beads inside the bathroom or when you wash your hands. Okay. Thank you for pointing it out. I didn't want to bring it up because it's too detailed. There's some children here today. I don't want to corrupt them too early yet. Okay, any other questions? All right. Now, the next part about the prologue of Master Jing Liang is that it's very, very scholarly, but so I read it 17 years ago. I didn't understand any of it. I was terrified. Worse yet, I said. But I read it recently again. I had to read it because I had to lecture on it. Oh my God! and I realized how it dawned on me that that Master Hsu's explanation and Master Ching Liang's bringing up these topics are very important. Okay, that's why I decided to go through that with you as well, so that because it has very important Buddhist concepts that I glossed over the last 15 years when I lectured, because I was more interested in helping you develop samadhi. But now you're at the level where you need to have a deeper level of wisdom. So that's why a lot of these things are very important Buddhist concepts that are fascinating, if you ask me. Okay. Yeah. So you go through the 10 doors approach to analyzing a sutra to help you comprehend what the sutra is about. The first one is cause conditions of why the teaching occurred. And the Buddha or the sages, Buddhist sages, teach us something because they have very good reasons. Many, many good reasons. Okay? In the Lotus Sutra, no, go back to that slide, please. Okay? The Lotus Sutra, it says that in the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha says, all Buddhas appear in the world for one great matter. Number one, to open living beings to the Buddha's knowledge and vision. Number two, disclose what that knowledge and vision is. Number three, to lead living beings to awaken to that knowledge and vision of the Buddha, meaning all of us can have that knowledge and vision. Do not sell yourself short. If the Buddha does it, it's because we can. Don't let anyone else convince you otherwise. Okay? And it may happen. You may awaken to it while lying down listening to a tape. It could happen. So the teaching is never that rigid, never that narrow-minded. Okay? And number four, to enter the path of the Buddha's knowledge and vision. Okay? Meaning that you can be the same as the Buddha. So the Buddhas appear in the world because they want you to be just like them, not just draw near God. Do you hear that, Daniel? Is he still there? He's gone. Okay, but he's still not in full lotus. Okay, so the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha appeared in the world, says, I want you to know that I'm cool. I know so much, okay? And you know what? My knowledge is so cool. I know all there is to know about the world, about making money, about becoming famous, about, becoming a great chef and all those things, being happy, successful, you name it. I know it all, okay? And it's possible. And then you, yourself, can be like me. The interesting thing that about all Buddhas is that as soon as they become Buddhas, they speak the Avatamsaka Sutra. That's how important it is. It's a goal. It is a vow they made. In the future, when I become a Buddha, I will speak the Avatamsaka Sutra. first. Next. Why? Because my job as a Buddha is to help you, those with the greatest potentials. That's why I came to the world, to help you, those of you who has the potentials. So you can tell, as you so clearly, the reason we're able to listen to the sutra is not haphazard. It's because we have the potential. That includes me. All of us have the potential to be able to listen to the sutra, to look at Master Cheng Guan's explanation, Master Xinhua's explanations. It's because we have Mahayana potentials. Okay? We're special, I think. Okay? And the standards that he sets in this particular sutra is so high. It sets the standards for what is called the ultimate teachings, okay? Which is not beyond complete eradication of your greed, your anger, your stupidity in all living beings. Okay? And in order to understand these ultimate teachings, you have to save all living beings at all times, at all places. That's the only way. Buddhism is not meant for you to study the books and then stay behind this enclosure of this property and expect to become a Buddha. It doesn't work. You have to try to save all living beings. Okay? And after you become a Buddha, it's only in order to save even more living beings. Okay? Another cause and a condition is to liberate living beings from their own obstructions. Why is the resolution so bad on my monitor? Is this my monitor or just... Or is that a Google thing, Google Slides thing, where you lose the resolution is very poor, which is a discourse problem. Okay, this teaching is to help you know how to liberate living beings from their own obstructions, from their own self-limitations. Okay, meaning what? It's about you. Okay, when talking about living beings, it's about you, meaning that you are limiting yourself. You are obstructing yourself. You say, no, it's not for me. I don't have time. I don't believe. I am too busy. I have other obligations and so forth. And what you don't realize is that when you talk like that, when you justify yourself like that, actually it's a pattern of selling yourself short, a pattern of a lack of seeing the big picture. Okay? And that's my experience been the last 15 years. You're the one who stopped yourself. We don't stop you. Okay? You happy you come to the temple, we're nice to you, you say, oh, I'm so happy, I'll be back next week. And then you get into an argument with someone else at the temple and say, oh my God, these people are something else, they're so bad. It's not a good place. So you quit. Okay? And that's the typical the self-limitation. He said, I don't have to take this. This is too much. Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. You think it's too much. You haven't seen anything yet. Okay? So it's living beings, they limit themselves by making excuses. Okay? Yeah. And also in the sutra, you will also see what is so-called, the Catholics call miracles, miracles of the world. Okay? In Buddhism, there's so many miracles that we use the word inconceivable, meaning that when you talk about miracles, it's analogous to extraordinary. It's fantastic. Inconceivable means that you cannot even imagine, you cannot explain, you cannot conceive of. Okay? So that's the state well beyond miracles. Okay? What kind of miracles, what kind of inconceivable states we're talking about? The sutra talks about their states where the tip of a hair can contain the entire universe, entire worlds on the tip of a hair. Okay, this morning we talked about Heng Lai, Master Heng Lai talked about the Pang layman whose wife who says, I see the patriarchs. I don't think they quoted right. I was careful when I was younger. I read about those stories because I never trusted the English translation. So I read it in Chinese, asked for a Chinese text. And the wife said, I see on the tip of a blade of grass the intent of the patriarchs, whatever it means. Okay? So on the tip of a blade of grass, she sees what the patriarchs meant, meaning that the tip of a blade of grass contains the patriarchs' teachings, the insights of the patriarchs. And here, this is just a Chinese woman. Okay? There, we're talking about the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who says, boys and girls, on the tip of your hair pore, okay, you can manifest. When you manifest, the entire world. Yeah, they see the entire world. The Milky Way can be contained, can be seen on top of your hair, the tip of your hair. That's why it's called inconceivable. Okay? And they're talking about one place is all places, one time is all times. That's the state of the Flower Adornment Sutra. Okay? It's not, so that's why people said, asked earlier, am I supposed to understand it and read the explanation? It will not help. Okay? It has to be groomed. You have to be prepared so that one day you'll be ready to be able to research it on your own. Okay? Right now it's premature. I'm sorry. I think time is up. Next time we pick it up from slide 18. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I talked so much today. I'm so tired. I'm hungry again. Thank you all. You're good sports. Okay. Korea has no questions. You all lost? Yeah? It get easier. Don't worry. The first part here. It's to give you a flavor of how profound it is. But again, remember, don't try to understand. Just listen, because what happened is that your mind. This is what happens to all of you. Your mind is that, I don't get it, and you reject it. Okay? This Avatamsaka world is that you cannot get it, forget it. There's no way for you to get it. You just have to listen to it and let go of that demand that you must get it. It's nothing to get. Whether you get it or not, a world can still exist at the tip of your hairboard. I don't get it. Okay? That's what makes it wonderful. You don't need to get it. There's no need to get it. Just listen. And someday you get it without trying to understand. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Okay? Sayonara. Wow.